You can still hear the faint, high-pitched cries ringing through the hallways over the sounds echoing of that grisly Bushmaster slaughter machine. The Sandy Hook Elementary Massacre, where Adam Nanza killed 20 first graders and 6 adults in Newtown, Connecticut, before taking his own life, and is what to be one of the most horrific mass shootings in the nation. Since that tragic event took place, that left behind many American parents, husbands and wives, family members and friends with crippled hearts. According to Barbara from the New York Times, the debate over regulation of gun control has been under heavy attack since that dreadful December afternoon in 2012. Countless of ads, protests, and marches, and congressional hearings have any retribution joined forces in an attempt to regulate heavy gun control. Today I'm going to show you some ads, talk about some anti-gun activists rallied together in order to defend the communities from gun violence, and inform you of what kind of laws can become the safeguard for our family. Furthermore, you too can make a difference to help towards a common cause that will impact our children's lives in the future to create a safer America. Let's start with gun control ads. Gun control ads have become an effective mechanism used to convey and spread the message of gun violence and how it affects our communities and loved ones. It allows us to briefly engage through the statistics and the reality of what goes on in our communities. Yet far too many Americans have been impacted by gun violence. Here are the stories of survivors and families of those taken by gun violence that often go untold. Slide. Play the video, please.
I heard about a shooting involving a 3-year-old girl over the summer. My daughter Riley's that age.
There was a point when I felt that I was going to die.
My parents used to always say a bullet didn't have a name on it.
Someone put a bullet in the back of my 14-year-old son's head.
The gun should never be an option. We're Americans. We don't have to live like this. We can all make a difference.
In the United States, 88 people died from gun violence every day.
We can end gun violence.
According to the video you just saw, a staggering 88 people die a day. That's approximately 32,000 deaths in the United States alone due to gun violence. And as protectorates of our community and our children, it is our duty, it is our mission to be conscious of the harmful impact gun violence has in our lives. Anti-gun activists have also unified and taken action to express their concerns and resentment. Slide. Here you see a protest and march on June 24th of 2014, underwritten by New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, one of the nation's most visible gun control advocates in the nation, initiated the Brooklyn March. The Washington Times reported that about 1,000 activists gathered on downtown Brooklyn, and their destination was City Hall across the Brooklyn Bridge. They held a demonstration outside City Hall chanting, "No one more. Not one more." The rallying cry of Richard Martinez, whose son Christopher was shot to death in Santa Barbara, California. Next slide, please. Following the Great Brooklyn March, citizens gathered at Washington, D.C. to protest what was another direct response to the Sandy Hook massacre. 75 gun control activists flooded the outskirts of the NRA headquarters, denouncing the NRA with chants, "Shame on the NRA," and deeming it responsible for thousands of Americans who die each year. More than anyone else, the NRA is responsible for more than 12,000 people murdered each year in our country, said Josh Nelson, campaign manager of Credo Action, the anti-gun activist group that organized this protest. According to Kevin Robinson of Political News, with the desperate cries for help, one brave State of the Union was the first to take action in response to the widespread turmoil. Hit the next slide. Here you can see the murder rate in the major cities. The bigger the red is, the more murders there are. Hit the next slide. States can make our homes safer. New York was one of the first states to take action after the barbaric actions at Sandy Hook Elementary. And after congressional hearing, Governor Andrew Cuomo signed the SAFE Act. The SAFE Act stops criminals that are dangerously mentally ill from buying a gun by requiring universal background checks on gun purchases, increasing penalties for people who use illegal guns, mandates life in prison without parole for anyone who murdered a first responder, and imposes the toughest assault weapon ban in the country for hunters, sportsmen, and law-abiding gun owners. This new law preserves and protects your right to buy, sell, and keep using your guns. The American people need to speak up and have their words be heard. In conclusion, I call for help. We need to have our voices heard by our country's leaders to call for a safer America, whether we express through sharing ads, passing the message along, rallying together for a common goal, or voting for the representatives of our communities who will help regulate gun control. We need to band together and start now. I'd like to show you this last video on gun control.
Charlotte, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek, Newtown,
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad, as a friend, as a husband,
As a wife.
as an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act. Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 And with that, I must conclude. His next slide. And say, God bless our children, God bless America, and enough is enough.